When I first got into filmmaking in my early teens, I approached it like I was making a roller coaster ride, just trying to make a thrilling experience for the audience. That led me to make action films with my school friends that honestly were completely devoid of any emotion or meaning, just pure action, nothing more. But then, as I began to learn more, I got this idea that actually I was an artist. So I started thinking of camera movements that could symbolize something about the characters, or lighting that could evoke a certain emotion for the audience. Of course, there's nothing wrong with that, but looking back, I reckon I was rushing to seem sophisticated, like an aspiring author who searches for long, obscure words in the dictionary, hoping to sound more legitimate. And now, as I'm writing my next short film, I'm trying to get away from all that and see filmmaking as a language, rather than a form of art or entertainment. Because when I think of making films as communication, it actually takes away a lot of distractions, leaving just 3 things to focus on. What am I saying? Who am I speaking to? And how am I saying it? Let's start with how am I saying it? Have a read of this. It's more than likely that the voice in your head read those phrases in completely different tones, despite both of them saying the words, "okay then." We know it matters how many arguments have been started not because of what was said, but how it was said. When we're speaking, we use tone of voice, face expressions, and body language, but films include all of those things, as well as influencing how the story is told with the camera, editing, music, what the film looks like, what it sounds like. They're all part of how we say what we're saying. Because let's be honest, we've all probably seen more than one anti-war film, more than one romance where they don't like each other but it works out in the end, more than one adventure where the main character has to overcome a tough problem. A lot of people say you can condense any film or book into one of 7 core stories, so how they're told must really make all the difference. About as much difference as someone going to a funeral and genuinely saying, "I'm so sorry for your loss," versus someone sarcastically saying, "I'm so sorry for your loss." Who am I speaking to? Whether aware of it or not, we change the way we speak depending on who we're talking to. A good doctor probably wouldn't use overly scientific language when talking to a patient, and teenagers are usually more polite when speaking to their grandparents. It comes down to an awareness of the audience. I might make a film for people who have forgotten what adventure feels like, people who are feeling hopeless, people who disagree with me on a particular issue, or maybe I'll make a film aimed at a younger version of myself. The point is that whoever you have in mind will undoubtedly affect how you tell the story. If I was making a documentary about an Olympic athlete and I wanted it to have a more universal appeal, I'd probably need to give the audience a chance to understand where the passion for that sport came from, rather than just assuming that everyone cares as much about the sport as the athlete does. In the same way, some things are universally understood by the audience already. If you open a scene with a character who plonks themselves on a couch in front of the TV and loosens their tie, then the audience will probably assume that this person is in their own home and they have just finished work. On the flip side, we shouldn't just assume that the audience knows everything that we know about the story. Will they figure out how much time has passed between each scene without some kind of indication? If we briefly show a character's picture at the beginning of a film, will that be enough for them to make the connection when that character reappears 40 minutes later? All of this is to say that if films are speaking to the audience, I'd much rather have at least thought about what the audience already know, what we need to show them, and what they can infer themselves. And of course, the third question is, what am I saying? For the longest time, I just wanted to be a filmmaker. It looked like a fun thing to do, an exciting lifestyle. But if we're thinking of films as a language, then someone who just likes the idea of making films is at risk from speaking without having anything to say? This one is probably the most personal of the 3 questions, and there are of course no wrong answers, but I want to make sure that I am asking myself, what am I saying with this film? And there's only one person who can answer that. So for me, those 3 questions, what am I saying, who am I speaking to, and how am I saying it, remind me of what to prioritize. All that's left is to send out the message, say what needs to be said, and let other people think about things like, was it any good? Was it entertaining? Was it art? All I'm doing is speaking.